Guys, I'm excited because it's almost September, which means it's almost pumpkin spice latte season, and you know how I love my Starbucks. But more importantly, it's almost time to collect some dividends from the 23 awesome companies we'll be talking about in this video. I know it's a long list, but all of these companies will be giving you a paycheck in September just for being a shareholder. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, the first stock we're talking about that will pay you a dividend in September is going to be Intel, ticker symbol INTC, who will be giving you a paycheck on the first day of the month. And for every share of Intel you own, you'll be getting 37 cents. You can buy Intel right now with a starting yield of just over 4%. According to this, their payout ratio is about 36%, but it actually might be higher after their most recent earnings report, which was not that great. The 5-year growth rate, 6.26% on the dividend, and they have 7 years of dividend growth. Not too bad. The next stock you can expect to receive a dividend from in September is going to be Pfizer, ticker symbol PFE, who's going to pay you on September 6th. And for every share of Pfizer you own, you'll be bringing in 40 cents per share. And the dividend stats right here, I got to admit, I've seen better. They have a starting yield of 3.3%, but they do have a really nice low payout ratio, 26%, which should mean that they're able to continue paying and growing the dividend as time goes on. And they have a 5-year growth rate of about 6% with 0 years of dividend growth history, but I don't think that's quite accurate. If we go over to the dividend history page right here, I mean, we are seeing some dividend growth in 2022 compared to 2021. So I think Seeking Alpha is just mistaken here. It looks like their dividend growth goes back to 2009. So what is that, 12 years? Next up, guys, we have Southern Company, ticker symbol SO, who's going to be paying you a dividend also on September 6th. And for every share of Southern Company you own, you'll be bringing in 68 cents. And the dividend stats on this company are not too shabby. 3.41% dividend yield. They have a payout ratio that's kind of on the higher end, but this is to be expected from a utility company. Their payout ratios tend to be a bit higher, but it's okay because their revenues tend to be a bit more stable. It's a bit more predictable, so they can get away with a higher payout ratio. And then they have a 5-year growth rate that is not too much to write home about. It's actually lower than their dividend yield, 3.29%, but they do have 20 years of consecutive dividend growth, which is great. That's a nice track record. All right, guys, stock number 4 that's going to be paying you a dividend in September, we're talking about Tractor Supply Company, ticker symbol TSCO. Tractor Supply is going to be paying you on September 7th, and for every share you own, you'll be getting 92 cents per share. And as far as the dividend stats go, the forward yield is not anything to write home about, pretty low, 1.79%, but they do have a very low payout ratio, just under 32%, with a very high 5-year growth rate, just quite possibly the highest we're going to see today, 26.31% with 11 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now moving on to stock number 5, guys, we are talking about one of the most popular dividend stocks. It's kind of like the it girl of dividend stocks. We're talking about Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT, who's going to be paying you a dividend on September 8th. And for every share of Microsoft you own, you'll be getting 62 cents per share. And there's really, like, as far as the dividend yield goes, guys, it's not great. 0.85%, a very low yielding company, but the dividend from Microsoft should be pretty secure and it should continue to grow as time goes on. This company is bringing in a ton of free cash flow that they can use to pay and grow the dividend. And their payout ratio is very low, about 27%, with a high 5-year growth rate of 9.71%, almost touching double digits with 17 years of consecutive dividend growth. So really like that track record. Now moving on to stock number 6, we have Walgreens Boots Alliance, ticker symbol WBA, who's going to be paying you on September 9th. And for every share of WBA you own, you're getting 48 cents per share. Now, as far as the dividend stats go, there's a little bit more to talk about in terms of yield compared to Microsoft. 5.02% for WBA's starting dividend yield. And they also have a low payout ratio, 35.37%, with a pretty low 5-year growth rate, 4.6%, with only 5 years of consecutive dividend growth, but I guess it's better than nothing. Now moving on to the 7th stock that's going to be paying you a dividend in September. This one is going to be Huntington Ingalls Industry. This company designs, builds, and repairs military ships here in the United States and are actually recognized worldwide as America's biggest ship holder. Now, as far as the dividend stats go, we're seeing some nice growth. A low starting dividend yield, 1.99%, and also low payout ratio, 32.1%, very nice. 5-year growth rates coming in hot, guys, 15.27% with 8 years of consecutive dividend growth. Next up, guys, stock number 8 is one of my favorite companies. This one is going to be Snap-on, ticker symbol SNA. And before we get into the dividend stats, guys, look at the dividend grades that Seeking Alpha is giving Snap-on. They have an A+ for safety, an A+ for growth, a B-, which is their worst grade for dividend yield because it's a little bit lower, which we'll see, but then another A+ for dividend consistency. And scrolling down, Snap-on's going to pay you a dividend on September 9th, and for every share of this company you own, you're getting 1 $1.42. Now, the B plus in the grades up here is because of their dividend yield. 2.45%, which obviously is not the highest dividend yield, but they do have a low payout ratio, about 34.5%, with another very hot 5-year growth rate, 14.87% and 12 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, moving on to stock number 9, this one is a pretty legendary dividend stock. We're talking about ExxonMobil, ticker symbol XOM, who's also going to be paying you on September 9th. And for every share of Exxon you own, you're getting 88 cents per share. Now, as far as the dividend stats goes, 3.73% for the forward dividend yield with, according to this, a pretty low payout ratio of 35.67%. The 5-year growth rate for Exxon is nothing to write home about, sub 3%, but they do have 19 years of consecutive dividend growth. Next up, guys, stock number 10, we have IBM, aka Big Blue, as my guy North likes to call it in the Discord group. Now, IBM is going to be paying you on September 10th, and for every share of this guy that you own, you're going to be getting $1.65 per share. And the dividend stats are not looking too bad. 4.75% for the forward yield, which is on the higher side. They do have a higher payout ratio, especially for a company in the technology sector, about 70%. 5-year growth rate's 3.5%, and they have a actually pretty respectable dividend growth history of 22 consecutive years. So in just a few more years, IBM could become a dividend aristocrat if they keep up the growth. Now, moving on, guys, we are almost halfway through. Stock number 11, we're talking about Target, which is one of the stocks on my buy list. I would love to add this company to my portfolio, and they are going to be paying you a dividend on September 10th, and for every share of this dividend king that you own, you're going to be getting $1.08. Now, as far as the dividend stats goes, Target's forward dividend yield is 2.5%, about average for a dividend yield, and then the payout ratio is not too bad, just under 43%, with a 5-year growth rate that's also not too bad, 9.33%, with 53 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, moving on, guys, the 12th stock of the day is another pretty iconic dividend stock. We're talking about Chevron, ticker symbol CVX. Now, Chevron's going to be paying you a dividend on September 12th, and for every share you own, you'll be bringing in $1.42. And as far as the dividend stats go, I think this is looking better than what we're seeing with Exxon. The forward yield is 3.57%, very similar to ExxonMobil. They also have a similarly low payout ratio, 37.5%, with a 5-year growth rate that's 5.33%, higher than what we're seeing with ExxonMobil, and their dividend growth history is quite a bit better as well. 34 years of consecutive dividend growth, really nice. Next up, guys, stock number 13 that's going to be paying you in September is going to be 3M, ticker symbol MMM, which has been just beaten down all year, guys. But anyway, 3M's going to be paying you a dividend on September 12th as well, and for every share you own, you'll be getting $1.49. Now, the dividend yield for 3M right now is not looking bad because the share price has been so compressed. That dividend yield is coming up, and the starting yield is 4.06%. And the payout ratio right here is like as high as I would probably like to see it, just above 60%, with a 5-year growth rate that's pretty average, 5.12%. And look at that dividend growth history, guys. This is one of the reasons why people love buying 3M, because it has 63 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, stock number 14 is also seeing some pretty nice compression in the share price. We're talking about Whirlpool, ticker symbol WHR, who is going to be paying you a dividend on September 15th, and for every share you own, you'll be bringing in $1.75. And look at that forward dividend yield, 4.05% for Whirlpool, with a very low payout ratio of 26%, a nice 5-year growth rate of about 9%, and a pretty decent dividend growth history of 11 years. Now, stock number 15 is coming to us from the consumer staples sector. This one is going to be Kellogg's, ticker symbol K, which is easy enough to remember, and Kellogg's is going to be paying you on September 15th, and for every share you own, you'll be bringing in 59 cents. Now, getting into the dividend stats real quick, 3.11% for the forward dividend yield, with a payout ratio that's really not bad. I really don't have any thoughts about the payout ratio, 55.25%. The 5-year growth rate's nothing to talk about, 2%, 2.25%, with 17 years of consecutive dividend growth. So at least they have some consistency growing the dividend. It's slow growth, but it's there. Now, jumping over to stock number 16, you guys are going to know this one. This is none other than the Golden Arches McDonald's, ticker symbol MCD. And McDonald's is going to be paying you a dividend on the 16th right here, and for every share you own, you'll be bringing in $1.38. Now, getting into the dividend stats, they have a forward yield of 2.07%, a payout ratio of 55.3%, a 5-year growth rate of 7.92%, so that's not too bad, and then their dividend growth history is looking very nice, 20 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, moving on to stock number 17, this one is going to be VF Corporation, ticker symbol VFC, and in case you've never heard of this company, VF Corporation is an apparel company that owns pretty popular brands like Vans, Dickies, and the North Face. Now, looking at the dividend stats here, guys, they are going to be paying on September 20th, and for every share of VFC you own, you'll be getting 50 cents per share. Now, their forward dividend yield is looking very sweet, 4.3% with a high payout ratio, I think, 66.33%, 4%, so would love to see this come down. And the 5-year growth rate's nothing crazy, 5.34%. And Seeking Alpha has their dividend growth history at 48 consecutive years, but I could have sworn, and I might be wrong on this, I could have sworn that VF Corporation was a dividend king. If you guys have any insight on that, let me know in the comments below. Now jumping over to stock number 18, we've got Qualcomm, ticker symbol QCOM. And take a look at the dividend grades right here from Seeking Alpha, looking very great. They have an A- for safety, an A+ for growth, a B+ for yield, and an A for dividend consistency. Now, Qualcomm's going to be paying you a dividend on the 22nd of September, and for every share you own, you'll be getting 75 cents. And I don't know exactly why they have a B+ for dividend yield, because it's under 2%, 1.98%, but their payout ratio is extremely low. This might be one of the lowest payout ratios we've seen all day. 23.35% with a 5-year growth rate of 5.25%, which I don't exactly know why that gives them an A+ for growth, but anyway, guys, their dividend growth history is 18 years of consecutive growth, so really great. And stock number 19, which is Lockheed Martin, ticker symbol LMT, is also boasting some really positive grades here from Seeking Alpha in terms of the dividend. They have an A+ for dividend safety, an A+ for growth, a B+ for yield, and an A+ for consistency. And Lockheed Martin's going to be paying you on September 23rd, and for every share you own, which is a very pricey company, $440 per share, basically. But for every share you own, you'll be bringing in at $2.80. Now, looking at the dividend stats, I mean, guys, the forward dividend yield is not much to write home about. 2.5%, very average, with a relatively low payout ratio, though, 41%, and a 5-year growth rate that I do believe is on the higher end, 9.12%, with 19 years of consecutive dividend growth. And I want to see how long they've been paying the dividend. So they've been growing it for 19 years, but they've been paying it for 26 years. So even more consistency on the side of payments. Now, moving on to stock number 20. Woo, we have gone through a long list of companies today, guys. I know, but hang in there. Just a few more left. Stock number 20 is Rowe Price, ticker symbol TROW, who's going to be paying you a dividend near the end of the month on September 29th. And for every share of Rowe that you own, you'll be getting $1.20. Now, I think there's a lot of good stuff going on with the dividend. Their forward yield is 3.64%, which is not too shabby. They do have a lower payout ratio of 42%, and look at the 5-year growth rate and the dividend growth. Really nice. 5-year growth rate's knocking it out of the park at about 15.5%, and the dividend growth history is doing the same. 35 years of consecutive dividend growth. Now, moving on, there's only 3 more stocks left on our list to talk about today, guys. Stock number 21 is one that I've never talked about before on this channel, I don't believe. But anyway, it's Dominos Pizza, ticker symbol DPZ, who is going to be paying a dividend also at the end of the month. This is not updated yet on Seeking Alpha, but if they're sticking to the same schedule, they should be paying on September 30th. And for every share of Domino's you own, you'll be getting $1.10. Now, look at the dividend stats, guys. It's kind of interesting. Very low starting yield, but the rest of the stats I think are looking really good. The payout ratio is 32%, so low payout ratio with a very high 5-year growth rate, almost 20% on the dividend growth over the last 5 years. And then their dividend growth history is 8 consecutive years. Now, the second to last stock we're talking about today is just, guys, one of the most iconic companies out there. This one's going to be Pepsi, ticker symbol PEP, who is going to be paying you a dividend if they're, sticking to the same schedule on September 30th. Seeking Alpha just needs to update it here. And for every share of Pepsi you own, you'll be getting $1.15. Now, this is a very stable dividend payer, guys. 2.5% for the dividend yield with a higher payout ratio, but they have the dividend growth history to back it up. 49 years of consecutive growth. Pepsi's basically more or less a dividend king, and their 5-year growth rate's not too bad, 7.39%. And now, last but not least, guys, stock number 23 that's going to be paying you a dividend in September is going to be Bank of America, ticker symbol BAC. But according to this, if Bank of America sticks to the same schedule, they should be paying on September 24th, which is before the last couple of payments that we talked about. But for every share of Bank of America you own, you'll be bringing in 21 cents. And this is not like an expensive stock to buy. It only costs about 35 bucks per share. But anyway, going back to the dividend stats, guys, their forward yield is 2.32% with a very low payout ratio of 26.25%. Very nice. And look at this 5-year growth rate, guys. Huge 5-year growth rate, basically 23% for the growth, and they have 6 years of consecutive dividend growth. Anyway, guys, now that you know which stocks are going to be paying you dividends in this upcoming month, check out this video right over here to learn about a new dividend stock I just added to my portfolio. This bad boy is a real estate investment trust with some very consistently growing financials. So click right over here to learn all about it, and I'll see you in the next one.